This is a side event of our CBG forum event since last 2 days. So now we have invited all the biomass processors, basically those who are processing agro-residues into pellets and briquettes. So from all over India, there are around 100 plus biomass processors join here today. So now we are inviting biomass processors of India to join this forum so that we can take our agenda of biomass processing and related problems. So today we are very much lucky to have Dr. Sudip Nag with us, ED NTPC and Mission Director SAMARTH. So I would like to invite all the dignitaries for the launch of this Biomass Associate Forum. Shri Subodh Kumar ji, Shri Aman Kwatra ji, Shri YB Ramakrishna ji, Sahab Patil, and our chief guest Sudip Nag ji, Mission Director SAMARTH. We will start our event with lighting up lamp. So I would like to invite our chief guest to do lighting of the lamp, and we can then start our session.
पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शंकर प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती.
Now I would like to invite all our dignitaries on dais. Subodh Kumar ji, Aman Kwatra ji, Tushar Patil ji, YB Ramakrishna ji, Sahab Patil, Sudip Nag ji, and our forum's co-chair Col Rohit Dev. I think everyone here is compatible with English because there are some processors from farmer producer companies, so I think it is okay to continue with English. अच्छा हाँ, तो मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि IFGE के माध्यम से हम ये बायोमास प्रोसेसर का फोरम लॉन्च करने जा रहे हैं आज, जिसमें ऑल ओवर इंडिया से 100 प्लस मेंबर्स बायोमास प्रोसेसर्स हमारे साथ आज से जुड़ने जा रहे हैं. इसमें मैं IFGE के बारे में शायद आपने कई सारे लोग कल से हमारे साथ में हैं तो उन्होंने देखा होगा. आई मीन दोज हु आर ऑलरेडी देयर सिंस लास्ट 2 days. IFGE, an umbrella organization which is working on bioenergy sector related to policy issues and their taxation related issues or many teething problems which we are doing as a policy advocacy with various state government and central government for the bioenergy sector. So definitely biomass is a main vital part of bioenergy. So we thought biomass processors also to be a part of our forum. And now from today we are launching this Biomass Associate Forum, and it's my it's great for IFGE to have a NTPC as one of the founder members, sir. NTPC is our founder member since when we started IFGE. So already NTPC is our founder member, you can say, of this today's forum, and they want to promote biomass pellets, torrefied pellets and non-torrefied pellets in their all thermal power plants operating throughout India. And it's our great pleasure that you are already a part of our forum as a founder member since we started IFGE. I would like to welcome Sudip Nagji for this event, and I'm very much thankful he joined this forum for launching of this forum today. Then I would like to introduce today's dignitaries on dais. Subodh Kumar ji, I think most of the people knows that he is former executive director of Indian Oil Corporation and now chairperson of our Biomass Associate Forum. Then we have Aman Kwatra ji. He is a director of 3 BIOeDhan Sustainable Solutions, one of the biomass processor from Delhi NCR. Then we have Mr. Tushar Patil. He is a AVP from Praj Industries Limited. They are the pioneer in bioenergy sector in India, or ethanol sector of India. Then we have Shri YB Ramakrishna ji. He is a chairperson of our IFGE CBG Producer Forum, and he is there since last 2 days. And he was a former chairman of working group on biofuel of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. And his name is coined always with biofuel in India. So he's a, can say, he's a synonymous to biofuel in India. Then we have our guest Shri Sahab Patil. He is a former Rural Development Union Minister for Rural Development, Government of India, and he is a chairman of Indian Federation of Green Energy. And he is known as a father of biofuel in India. He has coined first time, I think, biofuel or bioethanol terminology in India. Then we have our chief guest today for this launching of this forum, Shri Sudip Nagji, who is Executive Director of NTPC and as Mission Director of SAMARTH, which is SAMARTH Sustainable Agriculture Mission on Use of Agri-Residue in Thermal Power Plants. So he is Mission Director for this SAMARTH, which is a body of NTPC promoting biomass pellets and in their thermal power plants. Then we have Col Rohit Dev. He is a well-known biomass consultant and supply chain expert in biomass processing. I think almost many years he is working in this biomass sector. Almost, I think I know him more than 5 years since he was working in this biomass sector or pelletization or briquette manufacturing. So now I would like to invite Shri Subodh Kumar ji, our today's forum chairperson, to give his welcome remarks on the launching of this forum. Subodh Kumar ji.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. आदरणीय अन्ना साहब पाटिल, YB Ramakrishna साहब, सुदीप नाग साहब, कर्नल रोहित देव, तुषार पाटिल जी, डॉक्टर तुषार पाटिल एंड अमन क्वात्रा जी, और जो हॉल में बैठे हुए डिग्निटरीज़ हैं, लोग आए हुए हैं, जानना चाहते हैं क्या चीज़ है ये, कैसे है। तो कहते हैं कि देखिए, हम अकेले, क्या कहते हैं, कहाँ हिंदी में कहावत है, अकेला चना क्या पहाड़ फोड़ेगा, नहीं कर सकते। लेकिन हमारा IFGE के फोरम से इतिहास है कि हम लोगों ने एथेनॉल के ऊपर में काम किया। आज एथेनॉल वाले आपको कभी रोते पीटते दिख नहीं रहे होंगे। ना गन्ना उगाने वाला किसान एजुटेशन कर रहा है, एथेनॉल और एथेनॉल के प्लांट लगाने वाले जो हैं अब आजकल ढूंढते रहते हैं कि भाई सब कहाँ से कैसे लग जाए, कैसे हो जाए। ये ऑयल कंपनीज तो ले रही हैं और भी कैसे हो जाए, क्या हो जाए। तो वो समस्या एक सॉल्व हुई। कैसे हुई सॉल्व? क्योंकि जो समस्याएं थी प्राइसिंग को लेकर के, जब एथेनॉल का प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट हुआ 2002 में, तो 18 रुपये में एथेनॉल ख़रीदा जाता था। उसके बाद में और कहानी आगे बढ़ी, 27 रुपये का भाव आया। इन सब भाव पे एथेनॉल में मिलता नहीं था। 13-14 में 1.3% की ब्लेंडिंग थी। सिर्फ वही देश है, वही किसान है, वही शुगर मिल्स हैं, वही डिस्टिलरीज हैं, वही ऑयल कंपनीज़ हैं। सडनली गवर्नमेंट चेंज होती है, उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं जी, अब जो है एथेनॉल ये भाव में नहीं लेंगे, 38 रुपये का भाव मिलेगा। वो 1.3% से 3% पे पहुँचे। बोले यार ये बहुत अच्छा फार्मूला है, काम करो, इसको जो है 46 रुपये से लेके 62 रुपये का भाव लगा दिया। तो 4 तरह के एथेनॉल आते हैं, 46 से 62 का भाव आता है। 10% ब्लेंडिंग कब पूरी हो गई पता ही नहीं चला। गडकरी साहब कल शाम को थे हमारे साथ में, वो कह रहे हैं कितना भी एथेनॉल बना लो, 10 जनरेशन भी आपकी पूरी नहीं कर पाएंगी, इतनी एथेनॉल की रिक्वायरमेंट आएगी। तो वो एक कहानी हुई। फिर उसी में 2G एथेनॉल की कहानी स्टार्ट हो गई थी। उसको एक हम लोगों ने देखा। देन वी मैं, रामाकृष्णा साहब और सब लोग जो है, हम लोग गए ब्राज़ील, 10-12 दिन वहाँ रहे, उनसे सीखने गए थे एथेनॉल। लौटे तो लगा कि यार क्या किया जाए, ये पराली की तो प्रॉब्लम बहुत ज़्यादा है और 2G एथेनॉल एक प्लांट 1-1 हज़ार करोड़ का बनता है, तो कोई रास्ता निकालो इसका। तो दिमाग में आया कि बायोगैस किया जाए, CBG। तो CBG की एक कहानी बनी। CBG की कहानी बनी, शुरुआत में उसमें भी तकलीफ हुई। 46 रुपये का भाव आया। आज वो 54 रुपये, 70 रुपये, 80 रुपये, 90 रुपये इस तरह के भाव हैं। लोग प्लांट लगाने में उत्सुक है। कुछ असुविधाएं हैं वहाँ पे, लेकिन उसको इस फोरम से हम लोगों ने सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करी। ये CBG के लिए फोरम काफ़ी नया है, एथेनॉल के लिए काफ़ी पुराना है। तो CBG के लिए ये फोरम बना था। अब फिर और चीज़ों से बातचीत हुई तो पता चला कि नहीं, सब ये जो 6000 प्रोड्यूसर्स हैं पैलेट्स एंड ब्रिकेट्स के, और माल बन भी जाता है लेकिन भाव नहीं मिलता है, या पीछे से रॉ मटेरियल की प्राइस का फ्लक्चुएशन दिनों दिन ऊपर नीचे हो जाता है। 2 से 4 होने में सरसों के तूड़े को 15 दिन भी नहीं लगे इस बार। और भी तमाम कहानियाँ हैं, आप हमसे ज़्यादा बेहतर जानते हैं उसको। लेकिन इसको कैसे सॉल्व किया जाए, कैसे प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व किया जाए। तो हम सब मिल करके एक फोरम में आए, बैठें, और बैठने के बाद में जो लोग जिन क्वार्टर्स में जाके बात करनी है, चाहे वो गवर्नमेंट हो, चाहे NTPC हो, चाहे और भी प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स हों जो हमसे ख़रीदना चाहते हैं, तो उनके साथ में बैठ के बात करें, सामने पूछे। फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से उनके साथ में बात करें और विन विन सिचुएशन क्रिएट करें। उस चीज़ को ध्यान में रखते हुए ये सोचा गया कि ये फोरम बनाया जाए। इसका नाम रखा गया है बायोमास एसोसिएट फोरम। अब बायोमास एसोसिएट कौन कौन लोग हैं? तो वो जिसके खेत में बायोमास बनता है वो इसका मेंबर बन सकता है, या वो व्यक्ति जो एनर्जी प्लांटेशन करना चाहता है वो इसका मेंबर बन सकता है, जो पैलेट बनाने की मशीन सप्लाई करना चाहते हैं वो इसके मेंबर बन सकते हैं, टॉरिफैक्शन की टेक्नोलॉजी ला सकते हैं वो इसके मेंबर बन सकते हैं, जो पैलेट बनाते हैं, ब्रिकेट बनाते हैं, टॉरिफाइड बायोमास बनाएंगे सोच रहे हैं वो इसके मेंबर बन सकते हैं। इनके सबके जो ट्रेडर्स हैं, जो तरह एसोसिएट मीन्स इज़ अ वेरी बड़ा एक लार्ज टर्म है, और सबको विन विन सिचुएशन, ऑल द स्टेक होल्डर्स को विन विन सिचुएशन का लाने का एक ये प्रयास है। तो पर्पज़ जो मैं अभी बताना चाह रहा था आपको यही है। आपका स्वागत है इसमें। हम लोग आज लॉन्च है, तो लॉन्च में बहुत ज़्यादा सवाल नहीं ले पाएंगे, लेकिन आपके जो सवालों के जवाब होंगे वो हमारे पास रेडी शायद नहीं हो सकते हैं आज, लेकिन हमारे पास में जो टीम है, आप एक्सपीरियंस उनका देख लीजिए, सबकी उम्र देख लीजिए और सबके कनेक्ट देख लीजिए। तो यहाँ पे एक्स मिनिस्टर रूरल डेवलपमेंट के बैठे हुए हैं और सब चीज़ें। तो हम आपकी बात को सही प्लेटफॉर्म पे सही लोगों के बीच में पहुँचा सकते हैं और वहाँ से सोल्यूशन ला सकते हैं। सो मैं अपना जो संबोधन है यहीं पे रोकूंगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच। देन संदीप जी आगे जो है कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाएं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। जैसे सर ने कहा कि यस, हम आपके समस्याएं सुनने के लिए डेफिनेटली है और उसको सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करेंगे ये इस फोरम के माध्यम से, और उसी आस में शायद पूरे देश भर से यहाँ पे बायोमास प्रोसेसर्स आए हुए हैं। कई सर इसमें ऐसे बायोमास प्रोसेस है कि उनको मैं ये सेकंड जनरेशन के में उनका वही बिजनेस है कि जो ऑलरेडी पेलेट और पलोराइजिंग बायोमास पलोराइजिंग और पेलेटाइजेशन करते आ रहे हैं। मैं उनके साथ मतलब जुड़ा हूँ और सेकंड जनरेशन में है, ऑलरेडी थर्ड जनरेशन सेकंड जनरेशन यही बिजनेस में है। तो ऐसे कई सारे लोग हैं कि उनकी समस्याएं जो है हम लेके यहाँ पे वो आस लगा के आए, तो डेफिनेटली हम उसको सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करेंगे। तो ये बायोमास सेक्टर में बेसिकली क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ के साथ में क्या समस्या है, क्या कांस्टेंट है, उसके लिए मैं अभी आमंत्रित करना चाहूँगा अमन क्वात्रा जी को, जो हमारे फोरम के माध्यम से जो समस्या है या अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ के बारे में, कांस्टेंट के बारे में, बायोमास से रिलेटेड जो भी है वो बताना चाहेंगे।
मैं हमारे मुख्य अतिथि श्री सुदीप नाग जी, ऑनरेबल अन्ना साहब जी और डाइस पैनल में सभी जो हमारे गेस्ट हैं उनका मैं बहुत बहुत आभार प्रकट करना चाहता हूं कि बायोमास इंडस्ट्री को आपने एक ऐसा फोरम दिया, एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया है जो बहुत ही दिनों से जिसकी ज़रूरत थी। हम जो बायोमास इंडस्ट्री के पार्ट हम समझते थे कि हम जब भी किसी डिपार्टमेंट को अप्रोच करते थे तो वो पूछते थे कि आप लोग अभी तक इतने अलग अलग क्यों, आप लोग एक जॉइंट यूनाइटेड फोर्स क्यों नहीं बन पाए हैं। तो मैं IFGE के भी बहुत बहुत आभार प्रकट करना चाहता हूं कि उनके एफर्ट्स के द्वारा, उनके सानिध्य में हमने बायोमास एसोसिएट फोरम का लॉन्च किया है। इस फोरम हम सबको एक मंच प्रदान करेगी अपनी समस्याओं का, अपनी परेशानियों को कंसर्न डिपार्टमेंट्स एंड मिनिस्ट्रीज के सामने रखने का और अपनी इंडस्ट्री के पोटेंशियल को रियलाइज़ करने का, ताकि हम देश के एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी और कार्बन एमिशन रिडक्शन के गोल्स में सहयोग कर सकें। सो इंडियन फेडरेशन ऑफ ग्रीन एनर्जी एक अलायंस है उन विजनरीज का, स्टेक होल्डर्स जो इंडस्ट्री को बिलोंग करते हैं, बिजनेस को बिलोंग करते हैं, सर्विस को, जिनका एक समान उद्देश्य है कि कैसे एक सस्टेनेबल एनर्जी इकोसिस्टम को क्रिएट किया जाए और उसके चैलेंजेस को मिटिगेट किया जाए। IFGE एक नॉन गवर्नमेंट नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो एक प्रोएक्टिव रोल ग्रीन एनर्जी के प्रमोशन इंडिया में करना चाहती है। IFGE एक अम्ब्रेला ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो नेशनल रिन्यूएबल सेक्टर की इंटरेस्ट को रिप्रेजेंट करती हैं संपूर्ण तरीके से। बायोमास एसोसिएट फोरम, हम सब समझते हैं कि बायोमास ब्रिकेट्स और पैलेट्स एक इको फ्रेंडली, सस्टेनेबल और इकोनॉमिकल सब्स्टिट्यूट है फॉसिल फ्यूल्स का, चाहे आप पेट्रोलियम की बात करें, आप नेचुरल गैस की बात करें, आप कोयले की बात करें। और ये एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट, हाईली वैल्यूएबल एसेट है इकोनॉमिकल, इकोलॉजिकल एंड एडवांस्ड एनवायरनमेंट गोल्स के लिए। देखिए, देश चाहता है कार्बन रिडक्शन करना, तो बायोमास को उसमें एक बहुत बड़ा, एक महत्वपूर्ण रोल प्ले करना ही पड़ेगा। तो बायोमास एसोसिएट फोरम को हमने IFGE के अंडर बनाया है ताकि कलेक्टिव अप्रोच की जाए बायोमास बेस्ड एनर्जी सेक्टर की प्रॉब्लम्स को और उसके चैलेंजेस को फेस करने के लिए। हमारे एसोसिएशन के जो मेजर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं वो हैं एस्टेब्लिश कलेक्टिव अप्रोच फॉर बायोमास बेस्ड सॉल्यूशंस ऑन पैन इंडिया बेसिस, टू क्रिएट अवेयरनेस फॉर द यूज ऑफ बायोमास एंड इट्स एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट, टू ब्रिंग अवेयरनेस अमंग फार्मर्स फॉर प्रॉपर यूज ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर रेसिड्यूज एंड नीड negative impacts of stubble burning, to bring awareness for the financing subsidy options which are available, as well as policy advocacy, collective representation in front of central and state governments and policy makers, streamlining data for biomass availability, to resolve storage and warehousing issues, to raise issues related to tendering, and to work on regulations for pricing for agriculture inputs. And also one of our major objectives is to assist government projects with supply chain solutions to include SAMARTH, thermal power plants, and hard to abate sectors which are steel and cement. Now, this is the structure which we are working on in the BAF, that there will be a chairman's office, and under which there will be a center executive committee, and there will state chapters which will enroll members in each respective state. तो बायोमास इंडस्ट्री का अगर हम ओवरव्यू की बात करें, कल हरदीप सिंह पुरी जी ने, जो ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर हैं पेट्रोलियम एंड नेचुरल गैस के, इसी फोरम से एक बात बोली थी कि देश आज हमारे उस स्थिति पे खड़ा है जब हमारे दो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं। एक तो देश की जो GDP की रफ्तार है उसको तेज करना है, विकास की गति को, साथ में दुनिया हमें देख रही है, भारत को, कि कार्बन एमिशन की रिडक्शन को कम करने के लिए उसको एक बहुत ही मेजर रोल प्ले करना है। तो हमें बहुत ज़्यादा केयरफुल होना पड़ेगा अपने एनर्जी मिक्स के लिए फ्यूल्स को चूज़ करते हुए। बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली कोल अभी भी हमारा सबसे बड़ा एनर्जी देने वाला फ्यूल है और उसकी कंजम्पशन कम नहीं हो रही है बल्कि बढ़ रही है। इंडिया तकरीबन 162 मिलियन टन ऑफ थर्मल कोल इंपोर्ट किया था 2022 में, जिसकी वैल्यू तकरीबन 2 लाख करोड़ के आसपास है। इसके अलावा सिर्फ पावर प्लांट्स ने तकरीबन 48 मिलियन टन कोल, जो पिछले साल से 58% एक्स्ट्रा है, 2021 के पहले 11 महीनों में इंपोर्ट किया है। थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स के द्वारा टोटल कोल की जो ज़रूरत है उसको 8% इस साल 2023-24 में बढ़ने के चांस है 821 मिलियन टन तक। और इवन पेटको की जो इंपोर्ट वैल्यू है वो डबल हो गई है लास्ट ईयर में। ये एक समस्या हो गई। दूसरी समस्या है हमारे यहाँ पे सरप्लस बायोमास, जो समस्या के साथ एक बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी भी है हमारे सेक्टर के लिए। एज पर MNRE, इंडिया प्रोड्यूसेस अराउंड 750 मिलियन टन ऑफ बायोमास एवरी ईयर, out of which 230 million tons is surplus. And as all of you know, the demand of pellet has increased exponentially from Q3 FY to 21-22. पावर प्लांट्स NTPC और बाकी पावर प्लांट्स को भी तकरीबन 1 लाख टन की रिक्वायरमेंट हर रोज़ पड़नी है। आप ये भी देख रहे हैं कि जिस तरह से हमारे प्लांट हैं, काफ़ी पुश है, एंटरप्रेन्योरियल पुश है, इंडस्ट्रियल पुश है फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ बायोमास ब्रिकेट्स एंड पैलेट्स। एंड ऑल्सो जो ये 230 मिलियन टन है, इसमें से 50 से 100 मिलियन टन हम सरप्लस बायोमास को प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं अगले 5 सालों में, गिवन फ्यू फैक्टर्स हैव मेट। उसके लिए हमें 6000 से 9000 और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स रिक्वायर्ड होंगी। तो बायोमास पैलेट्स एंड ब्रिकेट्स के बेनिफिट क्या हैं देश के अलग अलग स्टेक होल्डर्स को? अगर हम बात करें किसानों की, तो किसानों को 3000 रुपये से 6000 रुपये पर एकड़ अपने क्रॉप रेसिड्यू के लिए मिलता है, जो कुछ साल पहले सोचना बिल्कुल ही असंभव था। किसानों का जो लीगल लाइबिलिटीज़ होती थी जलाने से, उनसे उनका बचाव हो रहा है। और जो सॉइल हमारा डैमेज हो रहा है, हमारा एग्रीकल्चर सॉइल जिस पर हम रोज़ सुनते हैं, उसकी प्रोटेक्शन होती है जब हम पराली को बायोमास ब्रिकेट्स एंड पैलेट्स में कन्वर्ट करते हैं। ऐसे ही हम एनवायरनमेंट की बात करें तो हम कोल और कार्बन और बाकी जो ग्रीन हाउस गैसेज हैं उसके उत्सर्जन को कम कर पाते हैं बाय रिप्लेसिंग कोल। पराली को जलाने के जो पॉल्यूशन और बाकी इम्पैक्ट्स हैं उनको हम ख़त्म कर पा रहे हैं और हम अपने सॉइल को प्रोटेक्ट कर पा रहे हैं। ऐसे ही इंडस्ट्री की बात करें तो इंडस्ट्री की कार्बन फुटप्रिंट को कम करने के में बहुत सहायक है हमारी बायोमास ब्रिकेट्स एंड पैलेट्स। हमारे इंपोर्टेड कोल पे जो हमारी डिपेंडेंस है हम उसको कम कर सकते हैं। और जो आपने भी देखा होगा कि लास्ट 2-3 साल से कोल के सप्लाई चेन और प्राइस की बहुत फ्लक्चुएशन है, खासकर इंपोर्टेड कोल की। तो इंडस्ट्री को हम उससे भी प्रोटेक्ट किया जा सकता है। देश की इकॉनमी की बात करें तो हमने कल CBG फोरम में भी सुना, हमने इथेनॉल के बारे में भी सुना कि कैसे हम अपनी बायो एनर्जी जो एनर्जी की नीड्स है, फॉसिल फ्यूल को जब बायो एनर्जी से कन्वर्ट करते हैं तो हम काफ़ी फॉरेन एक्सचेंज को सेव करते हैं। तो हम थर्मल कोल को अपनी बायोमास ब्रिकेट और पैलेट से रिप्लेस करके हम काफ़ी फॉरेन एक्सचेंज देश के लिए बचा सकते हैं, जो बहुत ही वैल्यूएबल है। एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन का बहुत बड़ा स्कोप है। रूरल इकॉनमी को बूस्ट मिलता है क्योंकि ना सिर्फ बायोमास उगाने वाले इससे कमाता है, बायोमास को एग्रीगेट करने वाला, कलेक्ट करने वाला और लॉजिस्टिक्स में भी बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को रोजगार मिल सकता है। पराली से होने वाले जो हेल्थ हैजर्ड्स हैं उसको बचा के हम देश की पैसे को, देश की प्रोडक्टिविटी को बचा सकते हैं। तो देखा जाए तो बहुत ही सुनहरा भविष्य नज़र आता है। बट ये सुनहरा भविष्य तभी हमें मिल सकता है जब हम आज जो चैलेंजेस हमारे सामने हैं उसका एक सॉल्यूशन ढूंढें, जिसके लिए इस फोरम का गठन हुआ है। तो इसमें 2 तरह के चैलेंजेस हमारे आगे, एक है ऑपरेशंस के, एक रेगुलेटरी। तो जैसे हमारे सीजनल और डिले मिसमैच है हमारे कंज्यूमर्स का टेंडरिंग के थ्रू, कि आज हमारे को टेंडर हम आज भरते हैं और वो 6 महीने बाद अलॉट होता है, तो उस टाइम रॉ मटेरियल की प्राइसेस कुछ और हो सकती हैं। इकोसिस्टम नहीं है अभी देश में बायोमास एग्रीगेशन का, ये बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है हमारी इंडस्ट्री के आगे। लैक ऑफ प्रॉपर प्रोक्योरमेंट प्राइसिंग मैकेनिज्म, सुबोध जी ने अभी मेंशन किया कि प्राइसिंग एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर है जिससे हम और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों को इस बिजनेस में इन्वॉल्व कर सकते हैं। लैक ऑफ स्टोरेज एंड वेयर हाउस इज अ बिग चैलेंज, गैप्स इन वर्किंग कैपिटल साइकिल एंड लैक ऑफ टू मीट दिस ग्रोइंग डिमांड। सो देयर आर सम रेगुलेटरी चैलेंज ऑल्सो। There is no single uniform standard testing procedure for biomass pellets and briquettes. We have seen single sample having different test results in different labs. So we need to have a uniform testing procedure. Biomass pellets और briquettes के लिए अभी भी कोई भी separate HSN कोड नहीं है। हम अभी भी 4401 यूज़ कर रहे हैं जो वुड से रिलेटेड है, तो हमारे को एक सेपरेट HSN कोड की भी रिक्वायरमेंट है। अभी हम देख रहे हैं कि काफ़ी लूज बायोमास की होर्डिंग हो रही है और अनकंट्रोल्ड फायरिंग हो रही है, जिसकी वजह से बायोमास पॉल्यूशन करता है और उससे हमारी इंडस्ट्री भी बदनाम होती है कि बायोमास की वजह से इतना पॉल्यूशन हुआ, तो उस पर रोक लगनी चाहिए। क्योंकि इससे ना सिर्फ अनकंट्रोल्ड पॉल्यूशन हो रहा है बट रॉ मटेरियल की प्राइसेस में भी काफ़ी फ्लक्चुएशन आ रहा है। हमें NBFCs और फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस का भी सपोर्ट रिक्वायर्ड है। तो सरकार से हमारी क्या रिक्वेस्ट है कि हमारे को कहाँ सपोर्ट जाए? मैं मानता हूँ कि करंट गवर्नमेंट का हमें बहुत सपोर्ट मिला है, शायद 2014 के बाद से इस इंडस्ट्री को एक रिकॉग्निशन मिला है, इसके बारे में अवेयरनेस क्रिएट हुई है, थोड़ा सा सपोर्ट और मिलेगा थोड़ा सा सपोर्ट और मिलेगा तो ये इंडस्ट्री अपने पैरों पे खड़े होकर देश की तरक्की में और देश के एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी में काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण रोल अदा कर सकती है। हमें रेगुलेटरी सपोर्ट चाहिए, हमें फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट चाहिए, हमारी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर को सरकार की तरफ से सपोर्ट चाहिए और हमें मिनिस्ट्री और इंटर डिपार्टमेंटल सपोर्ट चाहिए। आपको भी पता है कि कई बार पॉलिसी के लिए आप एक नहीं 2-3 डिपार्टमेंट्स के सपोर्ट की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, तो हम सरकार से यही गुजारिश करेंगे कि हमें सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड किया जाए और हमारी इंडस्ट्री को ईज़ ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस के लिए और प्रोत्साहन मिले। इस फोरम के थ्रू हमारा उद्देश्य यही है कि हम रिस्पेक्टिव डिपार्टमेंट्स और मिनिस्ट्री को कंसल्टेशन पेपर प्रेजेंट करेंगे ताकि बायोमास इंडस्ट्री से रिलेटेड जितने भी चैलेंजेस हैं, जितनी भी परेशानियां, उनका जल्दी से जल्दी सोल्यूशन निकाला जा सके। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद अमन जी, आपने काफ़ी अच्छे तरीके से इस सेक्टर के जो समस्याएं हैं, अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ है, उसके बारे में बताया। अपॉर्चुनिटी इतनी बड़ी है कि हम कोल जो है 5 कम्युनिटी में से है जो इंडिया सबसे ज़्यादा इंपोर्ट करता है, तो आपने उसको भी बताया। तो डेफिनेटली गवर्नमेंट हैज़ ऑलरेडी टेकन मेनी इनिशिएटिव्स टू नाउ इंक्लूड दिस बायोमास in their thermal power plant, and already NTPC has already formed a SAMARTH mission to promote this biomass in all their thermal power plants. So in this connection, I would like to invite Dr. Tushar Patil from Praj Industries to give some thought on biomass processors forum, because he is one of the users for process biomass as ethanol manufacturing.
थैंक यू संदीप। आदरणीय श्री नाग साहब, मिशन डायरेक्टर समर्थ, अन्ना साहब पाटिल जी, YB sir, Subodh sir, and all my dear friends from the same industry what I believe that is going to be lead the National Bioenergy Mission of India. प्रीवियस स्पीकर जो उन्होंने चैलेंजेस बताए, मेरे हिसाब से वो चैलेंजेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ में कन्वर्ट हो सकते हैं। एक इथेनॉल या बायोफ्यूल सेक्टर में हमारी इंडस्ट्री जो काम करती है, तो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन आता है कोई भी इंडस्ट्री सेटअप का कि रॉ मटेरियल कहाँ है, रॉ मटेरियल कहाँ से लाया जाए, कैसे लाया जाए। इंडिया जब लीड कर रही है ग्लोबल रैंक 3 में इन बायो एनर्जी सेक्टर, तो ये तो डेफिनेट है कि ये इंडस्ट्री आगे जाने वाली है। जब मैं किसान से लेके इंडस्ट्री तक स्टडी करता हूँ, तो हर एक सेक्टर में 3 चीज़ें ज़रूरी है। इनोवेशन ज़रूरी है, उसका इंटीग्रेशन ज़रूरी है, और वो डिलीवर करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। सो इनोवेट, इंटीग्रेट एंड डिलीवर। अब मैं भी एक खेती करने वाला आदमी हूँ, तो मुझे पता है कि अगर मैं रॉ मटेरियल हार्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, लिमिटेड स्पैन में मुझे हार्वेस्ट करना है, तो मुझे क्या मेहनत करनी पड़ती है। अगर नहीं उठाया जाएगा तो मैं जला दूंगा। अगर कोई उठाने वाला उसको एश्योर्ड ऑप्टिक मिल रहा है तो वो नहीं जलाएगा, वो बोलेगा कि भाई ले जाओ, भले उसको 2 पैसे ना दो, लेकिन उसकी खेती अगर क्लीन हो गई तो अगली बिजवाई सीधी सीधी उसकी अक्टूबर-नवंबर में हो जाती है। तो उसके लिए क्या चाहिए कि स्मॉल फार्म्स है, स्मॉल फार्म्स के लिए स्मॉल मशीनरी है। तो एग्री इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जैसे अभी सर बताएंगे अंडर समर्थ की व्हाट आर द न्यू डेवलपमेंट्स, लेकिन ये सारी डेवलपमेंटल चीज़ें हो रही है, लेकिन इंटीग्रेशन नहीं हो पा रहा है। तो इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ बेलर, इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ मशीनरी, इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ वर्कफोर्स, स्किल डेवलपमेंट, ये सारी चीज़ें विलेज लेवल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स से शुरू होगी। वहाँ पे एपीओज मॉडल भी बिल्ड हो सकते हैं। और ये तीनों चारों चीज़ें अगर मैं इंटीग्रेट करता हूँ, एंड वेरी क्लियरली मेंशन इट्स सस्टेनेबल एग्रेरियन, तो सस्टेनेबिलिटी और इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी फॉर एनी इंडस्ट्री, इट इज़ अ मोस्ट क्रूशियल थिंग फॉर एनी इन्वेस्टर टू इन्वेस्ट इंडस्ट्री इन दैट एरिया। तो हम लोग जब इन्वेस्टर्स आते हैं, नए बायोफ्यूल के प्रोजेक्ट्स बनते हैं, तो उसमें पता हो जाता है कि एक डिसेंट्रलाइज मॉडल में काम हो रहा है, जिसको सेंट्रलाइज प्लेटफॉर्म पे लाना बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो सप्लाई चेन में जो 4-5 एस्पेक्ट्स है कि भाई कलेक्शन है, हार्वेस्टिंग पीरियड में उसको डेंसिफाई करना है, उसको डिसेंट्रलाइज स्टोरेजेस पे ले जाना है, डेंसिटी कितनी रहनी है, वहाँ से उसको सप्लाई करना है प्रोजेक्ट एरियाज़ में, और उसके लिए स्टोरेजेस चाहिए, फिर उसकी पॉलिसीज़ है, उसका इंश्योरेंस है, काफ़ी सारे फैक्टर्स है जो कॉस्ट बिल्ड करते हैं। तो इनोवेशन इसलिए चाहिए कि ये कॉस्ट भी लिमिटेड रहे और सारा जितना भी बायोमास प्रोक्यूर हुआ है जो कन्वर्ट होने वाला है एनर्जीज़ में, उसको प्रॉपरली विथ क्वालिटी पैरामीटर्स उसको एसेस किया जाए। तो उसकी प्राइसिंग हो गई, उसके क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस हो गए, फाइनल प्रोडक्ट जो इंडस्ट्री को चाहिए वो हिसाब से बनाना। अगर आप बायोमास सप्लाई चेन एक एज अ चैप्टर लेते हो तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी इंडस्ट्री है अलॉन्ग विथ इट्स सप्लीमेंट्री इंडस्ट्री, कि मैं सिर्फ बायोमास सप्लाई नहीं कर रहा हूँ, वहाँ से अगर प्रोजेक्ट में से कुछ बन रहा है वो भी मैं किसानों को वापस ले आऊँ, तभी ये सर्कुलर बेस में काम करना शुरू करेगी। फॉर एग्जांपल अभी बायोफ्यूल सर्कल है, उन्होंने ट्रेडिंग प्लेटफॉर्म शुरू किया, ऑनलाइन ट्रेडिंग प्लेटफॉर्म। तो यहाँ से अगर वेंडर रजिस्टर कर रहा है, वहाँ से ऑफ टेकर है, सो दे कैन मैच देयर ओन टर्म्स। तो डिजिटलाइजेशन एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ यहाँ पे इम्प्लीमेंट करना ज़रूरी है, कि जो फोरम ऑफकोर्स इसके ऊपर काम करेगा। सेकंड थिंग है कि ईच स्टेक होल्डर विल गेट इट्स ओन प्रायोरिटी विथ कार्बन क्रेडिट्स, क्योंकि ये एक नया चैप्टर शुरू होने वाला है जिसमें ग्रीन क्रेडिट्स इन्वॉल्व होंगे। तो हाउ मच फार्मर विल गेट, हाउ मच कलेक्शन पर्सन विल गेट, हाउ मच सप्लायर विल गेट, हाउ मच इंडस्ट्री विल गेट, हाउ मच एंड यूज़र विल गेट। तो एक वो भी मैं फोरम में एडवाइस करूँगा कि दैट हैज़ टू बी इंक्लूडेड इन टू द एंटायर सेक्टर, कि एवरी इंडस्ट्री हैज़ टू मैप विथ इट्स सप्लाई चेन, with its final product configuration to calculate the green credits, which is going to become ultimately as a revenue generation for the industry, and it will make a climate change very importantly. तीसरा जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है कि आई वर्क इन USDA, तो वहाँ पे हमने देखा था कि एक क्लस्टर फार्मिंग होता था US में, कि एक 100 किसानों का ग्रुप है तो वो ग्रुप काम करता था एक स्पेसिफिक एनर्जी क्रॉप्स पे, और वहीं से वो हार्वेस्ट होके उनका लॉजिस्टिक बनता था। अपने यहाँ पे वो पॉसिबल इतना नहीं है क्योंकि लैंड होल्डिंग कम ज़्यादा है, तो मशीनरी कम ज़्यादा साइज़ की होती है। अब मशीनरी की इफ़िशियंसी भी मैं अगर देखूँ कि अगर 1 टन मेरे खेत में रेडी हो रहा है तो मैं 1 टन में से 600 से 700 यानी kg उठा पा रहा हूँ, तो मेरी इफ़िशियंसी वहाँ पे भी मार खा रही है। तो यहाँ पे भी इनोवेशन की ज़रूरत है। मेरा टाइम फ्रेम इतना छोटा है नॉर्थ इंडिया में कि मैं 40-50 दिन में मुझे इतना सारा इकट्ठा करना है। तो इकट्ठा करने के बाद में स्टोरेज है, तो स्टोरेज अभी मैंने देखे सारे जगह पे एक फ्लैट स्टोरेज सिस्टम बना हुआ है, तो उसकी जगह पे कोई दूसरा मॉडिफाइड स्ट्रक्चर सिस्टम जहाँ पे मैक्सिमम स्टोरेज हो सके। मैं बेल की बात कर रहा हूँ, जितना मैं डेंसीफाई करूँगा उतनी एनर्जी तो मैं डाल ही रहा हूँ, लेकिन उसका कन्वर्जन भी उतना इफिशिएंटली होना चाहिए। तो ऑल दिस पॉइंट्स जो छोटे छोटे हैं, बिल्कुल बेसिक पे है, वो अगर हम लोग फोकस करके इनोवेटिवली उसको इंटीग्रेट करते हैं तो ये इंडस्ट्री के बहुत सारे जो चैलेंजेस है वो धीरे धीरे अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ में कन्वर्ट होना शुरू हो जाएंगे। तो किसान को भी जब अपॉर्चुनिटी दिखती है तभी वो रॉ मटेरियल देगा। कलेक्शन मैकेनिज़्म को दिखेगी कि नहीं, इसमें ये 2 चीज़ें की तो मेरी ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट कम हो रही है, तो मेरा डेफिनेटली मार्जिन बढ़ रहा है। तीसरी चीज़ है, जब मैं यूटिलाइज़ कर रहा हूँ तो उसको हाउ इफिशिएंटली आई एम यूटिलाइजिंग। और चौथा है कि जो बाय प्रोडक्ट वहाँ से बन रहा है, जो भी बाय प्रोडक्ट बन रहा है, हाउ दैट कैन बी इंटीग्रेटेड बैक टू माय सिस्टम। तो मैं किसानों को, जैसे मेरी ट्रक गई खाली हो गई, वापस तो खाली आना है, तो मैं कुछ ला सकता हूँ क्या? ये सारी चीज़ों के ऊपर अगर ध्यान दिया जाए देन इट विल मेक अ होलिस्टिक सिनारियो विच विल क्रिएट द सर्कुलर बायो इकोनॉमी। बायोफ्यूल इंडस्ट्री फॉर एग्जांपल हम लोग 2G इथेनॉल लगा रहे हैं पानीपत में, भटिंडा में, बरगढ़ में, तो वहाँ पे सारी जो डिफरेंट बायोमास बेलिंग सिस्टम आ रही है वो डिफरेंट आ रही है। कई 45 इंच का बेल है, कई 30 इंच का बेल है, कई ब्रिकेट की अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ आ रही है। तो डिफरेंट बायोमास को उसके कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू और उसकी यूटिलाइजेशन के हिसाब से कैटेगराइज करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। ऐसे नहीं है कि मैं चलो कॉटन स्टॉक है तो मैं सिर्फ बॉयलर में ही यूज़ करूँगा, उसकी अदर एप्लीकेशंस क्या है वो भी देखना ज़रूरी है। अगर उससे और कुछ अच्छा बन रहा है तो वो इंडस्ट्री सेटअप करना ज़रूरी है, तभी ये अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ ओपन होगी एंड देन वी विल गेट द रिटर्न्स फ्रॉम दैट इंडस्ट्री। So with this, I think in the start session, I like to conclude it here, sir. That these are my few points that I should stress it on this and try to see that how this entire industry can be come together and solve the major challenges and create them into the opportunities. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर तुषार, आपने काफ़ी पॉइंट्स बताए कि जिसको हम अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं, जो भी हमारे कंस्टेंट हैं, और आपने एक पॉइंट ये भी बोला कि किसानों के पास जो मिल सकता है हम क्या हर चीज़ हम इस्तेमाल कैसे किस तरीके से कर सकते हैं। तो डेफिनेटली अलग अलग जगह पे अलग अलग बायोमास अवेलेबल हो सकता है। कई जगह पे बाम्बू है, कल गडकरी साहब ने भी बताया कि बाम्बू हैज़ ए कैलोरिफिक वैल्यू विच इज़ इक्विवेलेंट टू कोल। तो क्या हम बाम्बू को एज ए बेस मटेरियल यूज़ कर सकते हैं क्या? देन बाकी जो सीजनल मटेरियल है हम उसको उसके साथ में यूज़ करें। तो ऐसे कई सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ डेफिनेटली है। जैसे यूकलिप्टस फार्मिंग लोग पेपर मिल कर रहा है, उनका रेसिडुअल जो चीज़ है बार्क है वो अब मैं खुद एक जगह पे मतलब आंध्र प्रदेश में मैं उसको उठाता हूँ और उससे फिर ब्रिकेट बनाता हूँ। तो इस तरह से कई सारे अपॉर्चुनिटी धीरे धीरे आ सकते हैं। तो डेफिनेटली उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए, और जैसे इथेनॉल में या बायोफ्यूल सेक्टर में वाई रामकृष्णा सर ने एज ए चेयरपर्सन ऑफ वर्किंग ग्रुप ऑन बायोफ्यूल किया उनके टेन्योर में, वैसे हम उनसे कुछ गाइडेंस चाहेंगे कि इसको हमारा जो बायोमास एसोसिएट फोरम है उसको कैसे आगे ले जाए और उसके जो कांस्टेंट है उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी में कैसे कन्वर्ट करे। सो आई वुड लाइक टू इनवाइट डॉक्टर वाई रामकृष्णा।
Very good afternoon to all of you. Let me at the outset thank IFGE for having invited me for this program. This morning I was aware of the program, but I didn't know that I was supposed to be on the dais and talk today. However, there are some thoughts that are crossing my mind which I would really like to share with you. When we talk about biomass, essentially what comes to our mind is parali, basically because of the burning that takes place and the pollution that it creates in, actually it creates in the entire of North India, but when we talk about pollution, we talk about only pollution in Delhi. Now, it's not just parali. You know, many of you who have been doing briquettes and pellets have been dealing with multiple different types of biomass. Essentially, when we talk about biomass, we are talking about agricultural residues. In my this thing, you know, when we talk about agricultural residues also, the numbers that have been put across, like, you know, just now mentioned about 750 tons, 230 tons of surplus biomass. I mean, you know, those numbers are fairly good, but let me just tell you, there have been only 3 studies, I wouldn't even say systematic, 3 studies that have happened in this country with regard to biomass. The very first study happened in 2001-2 by National Institute of Interdisciplinary Studies, which is in Trivandrum, which is a CSIR lab. And this was also a very hodgepodge study where they were looking at only about 3 or 4 crops and from very specific regions in the country. It's not a pan-India kind of a study looking at all the biomass. So it's a good study. Whatever they have done, that limited study was a good study. Next study was done by Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. Their study was once again not looking at how much of biomass is being produced, how much is the surplus, but essentially what they were looking at is if I grow paddy for every ton of grain, how much is the biomass that gets generated. It is grain versus biomass ratio. They came up for different types of crops, and this is the second study that the country had done it systematically. And they also did it for about 12-15 different crops in the country. And then when we started the biofuel program in this country and the biofuel working group was created, obviously the question, and especially when we were talking about second generation ethanol based on biomass, obviously the question that was being asked in the government circles is, where is the biomass? How much is the biomass? What is the type of biomass? Kab milega humko? When is it? Is it available all through the year? So when all these questions are being asked, then MNRE took the initiative and instituted a study, and this study was undertaken by Department of Science and Technology. There is a group called TIFAC, and incidentally it so happened they asked me to chair that study steering committee. So we had about 18 to 20 people on that committee who were supposed to be experts on feedstock and various types of biomass. And after about 3 years of study, we collected the data from across the country, from 762 districts. We collected the data for 11 major crops in the country, and how much was being grown, and how much of this grain was produced, and how much was the biomass that was produced. So let me tell you the findings that we had, we collected data from 2011 to 2016 for about 5-6 years for the crops that was grown in both Rabi and Kharif season, and also summer crop. So all the 3 crops were taken into account, and from 11 crops, the total biomass that was being generated was 1.1 billion metric tons. And what was found as surplus, I mean, it's again you cannot really, arrive at a number saying that this is the surplus, because, you don't even know where and how it is being used. But anyway, we collected some data and did some extrapolation, and we figured out something like 170 to 180 million metric tons was the surplus, which was being wasted on farmers' field, not being collected. Either it is burnt or just left there for rotting. And when we talk about parali, we will be surprised from the Delhi region, Haryana, Punjab, Western UP, all this region put together, during the season produces 38 million metric tons of parali. So where is that another 140 million metric tons of biomass that is coming? It is there all over the country from these 11 crops. And in this country, can anybody tell me what are the different types of crops that we grow? How many different types of crops? If you ask me in United States, I will say 5 crops. If you ask me in Europe, I will say maybe 15 crops in all the countries put together. But in India, we can't even number it. You go to every village grows about 5 or 6, 10, 15, 20 different types of crops, food crops as well as fodder. There are different types of crops that we grow. If you start looking into the biomass that is generated from all these crops, let me tell you, it's very difficult to put a number against it. It could be more than 2 billion metric tons in this country. And we don't even know how much of it being used and for what purpose it is being used and how much of fish being wasted. So we had to be aware of this fact that there is lot more biomass that is available and in the country than what we really can picturize, number one. Number two is, this availability of this biomass is highly seasonal. Only when the farmer harvests it, this biomass is going to be available. But when you are talking about a processing industry, whether it is second generation ethanol, CBG, methanol, biohydrogen, whatever we talk about in future, or biomaterials or biochemicals, this biomass is going to be only available during those very short window of 5 weeks, 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it is, which means that industry has to stock it, store it and process it all through the year. So the issues that we have with regard to the aggregation of the biomass, the storage of the biomass and making it available to the industry in the form and factor that is required is a big challenge. This is something that we need to address. And now this study that I talked about, one is we have come up with a report which is a 550-page kind of a report. This is available with DST TIFAC. Anybody can pay 500 rupees and buy that report from them. And if anybody is interested, I can even share the soft copy of it. Okay, I have that short copy and you can go through that. Now, the next important thing that we did was we thinking in terms of making use of the satellite technology and see whether we will be able to digitize the whole information. And we used the NRSC facilities in Hyderabad, and we have developed a portal. So on that portal, you can go to any location in this country, pinpoint it and draw a circle for 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers around that. And then, it can generate immediate data on how much of paddy is grown, how much in the Rabi season, how much in the Kharif season, how much of sugarcane is grown, how much of groundnut is grown, how much of biomass is available, what is the energy potential of this biomass. All this data is available to you at your fingertips. It happens in 30 seconds. You get that. And then you want to generate a report, you can superimpose a whole lot of data on that regarding the roads that are available, the infrastructure that is available, water bodies available in that area, forest that is available, railway lines that are available. All that kind of data can be superimposed and you can generate a report in about less than a minute. You ask for a report, it generates and sends you the email. We have done that. Now this is being extensively used by the MNRE and various other ministries and also by the industry. in the biomass industry. Many of you may not know that such a thing exists, but a lot of people are also using it. Now, there is a need for us to make it dynamic. I am saying this, Subodh, you are fully aware of it. When you are talking about the various objectives of this particular forum, I mean, it's already wide enough, and you have quite a bit on your plate. But then, if you are really looking at biomass to meeting many of our needs in future, it is not just meeting the fuel. We are talking about meeting the fuel, food, fodder, everything. Now, it is possible through a proper, structured, integrated program that we take in this country. Now, when we talk about this report and the portal that we have created, I mean, I just said that, it was based on some 5 or 6 years data. How many years I am going to use this data? We are already in 2023. We need to make it dynamic. I have been going back to every single person in the government, asking them, saying that spend another 2 crores. Can we make this dynamic? Not only making it dynamic, from 11 crops, can we extend it to about 20 crops or 30 crops, which is grown all over the country? And Tusharji, you just mentioned about characterization of this biomass, which is a very important thing. Unless you know what that biomass contains, you don't know what application you can use it. Whether I can use it for 2G, whether I can use it for 1G, whether I can use it for biomass, CBG program, or whether it is ideally suited for my methanol program. It is very difficult. Only when you do that kind of characterization and map the technologies onto it, then you know where this biomass is available, how much is available, and when is available to me, where is the place where I can put up an industry, and what type of industry I can put up. This kind of data, it is possible for us if you are able to take up this study a little forward. It is possible for us to do. A concept note has been developed. All types of protocols have been developed as far as the characterization of the biomass is concerned. We have also identified multiple agencies who can do this kind of work for the government. Now, I think this is something that the forum can take this up as on a top priority and push the government. In fact, yesterday I spoke with the minister in the morning. In the night I spoke with the secretary also. And both of them said, we were not aware that such a thing has been done. And all those reporters lying there in the Ministry of Petroleum itself. At some point of time, they had applied their mind, but as things move forward, they have not looked into it. So this is one part of the biomass. Now, the second important aspect is, in this country, if you look at the bioenergy program, one other important program is the biodiesel program. And biodiesel program is not really taking off in this country, basically because, we are importing the feedstock. 99% of the feedstock, which is palm styrene, is being imported into the country. And this country is blessed with that kind of ecosystem where you will be able to grow more than 200, 300 different types of oilseed trees in this country. Tremendous amount of work has been done on tree-based oilseeds in Karnataka as well as in Chhattisgarh. Now, if you can go across the country and from selected 5 different species, if you can collect the available seeds which are being wasted today, believe me, it is 60 million metric tons. That means you can produce 15 million metric tons of biodiesel from the existing feedstock. We have not even looked into it. We have to create that kind of systematic seed collection mechanism. Some models have been created in Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, in parts of Rajasthan, whether it is for Jatropha or for Pongamia or for other seeds. But so much of potential is there, and we can integrate this growing the tree-based oil seeds with our agriculture. Even those experiments have been done in at least half a dozen different states. So there is a huge potential. This is another area where you can look into. And then engaging the farmers, especially the farmers where they grow only one crop in a year during monsoon. The practice in this country was, even in the rain-fed condition, farmers always raised 2 crops before our green revolution. And the second crop that they grew was always either an oil seed or a protein-rich crop. It took care of our, not the food security, it took care of our nutritional security. This was very important. When we started importing oil seeds into the country, when we started importing the nutritional, like soya and others, farmers started growing all these things because it was not remunerative for them at all. So it is possible with the remnant soil moisture, it is possible for us to raise this crop. Let's not talk about the productivity. Even if he gets 1 ton per acre or 1 ton per hectare, it's additional income for them, and that's a resource for our program. So this is another area that we have to really look into. And the third one is when we talk about, there were some discussions yesterday also, not in the forum, but just when we were sitting across and discussing. We were talking about sugarcane. How do we increase the sugarcane production in the same area? How do we reduce the water consumption? So we were talking about the Brazilian experience of energy cane. They said, no, Brazil में हो सकता है, यहाँ नहीं हो सकता है, इतना पानी है. But they are also, with the people with so much of water being there, they are really looking at how do I reduce my water consumption, and they have come up with a crop with 1/3 water. They get 3 times more yield on. The sugar production comes down, but with 3 times biomass, same amount of sugar will be there, but 3 times more biomass is available for various other applications, whether it is CBG, second generation, or biomaterials, whatever it is. In India, we did some experiment. There was a Government of India program, Department of Science and Technology supported it. On the 2G, we were looking at 2 things. One is feedstock for 2G, the second one was the processing technology. Unfortunately, they did not involve people like Praj in that whole program, but there were institutions who were involved. I tell you, on the feedstock, we did fantastic work in this country. On the processing technology, we have completely failed. When it comes to the initiative that was supported by the government part of it. On the feedstock, we did some excellent work on sweet sorghum. The moment I talk about sweet sorghum, everybody say, I have used that sweet sorghum in 2008, 2011. Oh, nahi ho sakta hai, ye nahi ho sakta hai. But we are in 2023. All this work was initiated after 2013. Between 2013 and 2018, wonderful varieties, cultivars of sweet sorghum have been developed. You are looking for high grain varieties. You are looking for high juice variety with very high brick percentage. You are looking for high biomass. You are looking for any of this variety to be grown in different geoclimatic zone. All that kind of work has been done. About 14 to 15 different cultivars have been developed in Hyderabad. And we have done it in 11 different geoclimatic zones. Trials have been done, and 3 of them have been approved by the Agricultural Ministry also. So these are all the potential crops which can be grown. The moment you engage the farming community to grow these kind of energy crops, then all your problems that are associated with aggregation and all the logistics issues completely will be sorted. Is anybody talking about logistic issue when it comes to sugarcane? It's what, 100-year, 150-year-old industry. I don't know how old that industry is. But there is such a wonderful equation between the sugar factory and the sugarcane producer. He produces. And it comes. They just process it. Nobody says, the challenges, talks about the challenges of aggregation, bringing it to the factory. So the beauty of the biomass is engaging the farming community in generation of the biomass, and also the moment they start generating and there is a market created for that, all the surplus that is available, even that can be handled very easily. So if you are talking about this association, all the industry participation is excellent, but let me tell you, if you are not engaging the farming community in this and make them as an important stakeholder, we are not going to go anywhere. So this is very important. Make sure that every time you conduct a program on, from BAF, there are at least some 20 farmers sitting here. So I think it is very, very important. As I mentioned earlier, the most wasted land in this country is land. I'm not even talking about wasteland of what is being classified by government. I'm talking about the land, arable land, which is wasted in this country. We have something like 190 million hectares of land, out of which we grow more than 2 crops only in 40-45 million hectares. That means in another 140-150 million hectares, almost about 50 to 70 million hectares have been left barren and not grown anything. And in the balance, 40-50 million hectares, we have been raising only 1 crop and rendering that land useless for 7 months in a year. So if you can make use of this land and make sure, we can talk about, cane, we can talk about sweet sorghum, we can talk about Napier grass, all that. All of them will not grow on all the lands because the geoclimatic zones are very different, the conditions are very different. But what is more appropriate and what can be grown in a different geoclimatic zone if you can focus and have the right kind of intervention? I tell you, our country, if you can put that biomass, the wasted land into use, and if you are able to engage the farming community in a big way, we will be able to produce food, fodder, and fuel, not just for India, for the entire Asia and Africa continents put together. Believe me, it is possible. And when we are talking about imported coal, we are not talking about imported other fossil fuels like crude. 85% of our crude is imported. We can stop all that. There is absolutely no need. Dr. Anjan is there in the hall upstairs. This is one thing that he keeps saying. When we talk about energy, how much is the total energy that we consume? If you talk about carbon molecules, he says 350 million metric tons. From our wasted resources, if you really look at how much carbon is available, is 450 million metric tons. So, is it possible for us to aggregate that and generate more carbon molecules? And, like I said, all the kind of possibilities that are there, it is possible for us to address it. I wanted to share this vision with you, and this is something that can happen. If this can happen, it is only in India. And I am pretty sure that IFGE will take the lead to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Very valuable input sir has given regarding study which will lead us to the resource mapping of the biomass available in India. And of course, sir, there is very, very valid point on restoration of the wasteland. I recently came across with the study which is MOEF has done on wasteland, and they said that around 50 billion rupees is economic loss due to this wasteland. That is around 2.5% of our GDP. So this is a recent report by MOEF in 2015-16. And then, of course, there is a government has already committed to restore 26 million
I just want to make sure that we have the clarity. There are people who keep on saying that, please give us the wasteland, we'll grow anything. It is been classified as wasteland because we know that nothing grows there. Don't waste your time on the wasteland. I'm talking about wasted land. Good, productive, wasted land. That itself is 190 million hectares. Out of that, at least 80 to 90 million hectares is available for all the programs that we are talking about. And this land is held by farmers, and if you, with the right intervention, they will grow anything that you want. If you talk about wasteland, it is the government agency who controls it. Do you think that anybody from the government is going to do anything on that land? They will not give 1 acre of that land to any one of you here, even if you want to do anything on that. So that clarity has to be there. When we talk about wasteland, please let us not focus on wasteland, let us focus only on the wasted land.
Thank you very much, sir.
I shall add to YB Ramakrishna ji. It's almost 85 million hectares of wasteland. It should not be wasteland, as he has already defined. And this has been already defined by the Government of India's Rural Development Department. And this land is to be used by all the villages and all the people for taking the various crops by the local authorities. And particularly, it was given on lease by the Gramin Samiti to develop it, various crops such as bamboo is one of them. And therefore I think, as you are comparing and explaining the availability of the biomass, that one also accounts very much if that has been used totally for the growing capacity of the available land and the other resources from the village areas. Okay.
Thank you very much, Anna Sahib. I would like to invite Anna Sahib to guide us on how we can move ahead with this Biomass Associate Forum. But ठीक, yeah.
All the dignitaries on the dais and my very respected fellow participants. It's a very important and very important vital subject of launching a association of biomass. It has been explained by almost all the speakers why it is important. It must be explained that what is the object of this IFGE. IFGE is framed and working for the alternative resources. Renewable energy is one of the alternate source that is only for the energy. It's not for energy, but it is for everything requirement of the mankind. It can be explained in detail in different aspects, but one thing is there, one base of the green energy is a biomass. And biomass in the country is so abundantly available, why Ramakrishna has already explained in the figures, but it can be multi-million tons of various kinds of that. We are only calculating at present what are the crops and what are the things available in our cultivated areas. But what about the forest? Forest is also one of the place where we can get a lot of biomass. Therefore, biomass is a very vital subject and is one of the branch of the IFGE. I really compliment to the thinkers and also to the participants who are really interested in it. If it take it as a plant, then all these are the branches, and this branch and this plant cannot survive unless and otherwise the stakeholders are one of the participants. Therefore, I request only on behalf of the IFGE that there should be every member from all the aspects of this biomass system. Grower should be there, storage man should be there, some converting or industrial man also be there, then market man also be there, and the utilizer is also, and consumer is also there. Therefore, this tree has to be grown very well if all the components are involved in it, and I request all of the participants and members should take part in it and be one of them. That is expectation from the IFGE. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू अन्ना साहब. अभी कई सारे वक्ताओं ने अपने इनपुट्स दिए, तो उसके साथ में मैं भी एक थोड़ा सा जोड़ना चाह रहा था कि अभी इतना सारा एनर्जी क्रॉप या एनर्जी प्लांटेशन के बारे में हम बात करते हैं, एट द सेम टाइम वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द वेस्टलैंड ऑल्सो. एट द सेम टाइम आवर ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑल्सो कमिटेड दैट बाय 2026 by 2030 we will restore 26 million hectare land at the expense of government. So why can't we have a national demonstration of all these energy crops in a single location, in maybe in 1,000 acres or maybe 500 acres, and then we can do all this characterization and all this study. That maybe I think, sir, Subodh Kumar sir, can be one of the suggestion from our side. Why don't we have a national demonstration for energy plantation or of all these kind of crops? Because that is already a committed agenda by Honorable Prime Minister in COP 14. So, maybe in the participation of with industry like NTPC or Indian Oil, those who are the off-takers of that energy plantation. With this remark, I would like to invite our chief guest, Shri Sudip Nagji, who is the mission director for SAMARTH and executive director on thermal NTPC. Shri Sudip Nagji.
Good afternoon. First of all, I must say that I feel myself privileged to be here among this August gathering and all the esteemed delegates and participants who are present here. And it's really a learning experience for me also. To formally address Mr. Anna Sahib M.K. Patil, who is the former Rural Development Minister, Government of India, and also Chairman of IFGE. Mr. Y.B. Ramakrishna, I know him, he is a veteran in this field. He is also Chairperson IFGE CBG Producer Forum and also former Chairman of Working Group of Biofuel MOPNG. Col Rohit Dev, who is a Biomass consultant and expert. Mr. Tushar Patil from Praj Industries. Mr. Aman Kwatra, who has given a nice presentation on this biomass. Of course, Mr. Subodh Kumar, who is chairperson for this IFGE Biomass Associate Forum, which I believe is going to be launched today, and former executive director of Indian Oil Corporation, and the moderator of this program, Mr. Sandeep. All the esteemed participants from different sectors, I believe it is from manufacturers, different entrepreneurs, maybe machine manufacturers, aggregators, suppliers, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I must admit that to come towards the end of speech, I mean, when a number of speakers are there and when you are lined almost towards the end, the life becomes much easier, because I must show that I have brought one 2-page write-up to give you some accountants, some information about this biomass, but which I find at this moment is that at least 1.5 page of that has already been spoken. And I assure you, I am not going to repeat any of those things. But I would like to touch upon some of the things which probably has not been spoken, and some of the areas which my previous speakers had touched upon, I would like to expand slightly on those things. I need not repeat the usage or requirement of biomass in our country. Biomass as a renewable energy, the source of renewable energy, because the use of biomass, we all know, it goes back to the millennia, hundreds of years, or we can say thousands of years. When people had started using biomass energy, who started this? Where we can say it is the earliest caveman who first made wood fires for cooking or for keeping them warm through the biomass only. So, under today's context, this biomass has become so much important, mainly because of the fact that we are quite concerned about the environment, about global warming and all these things which we discuss off and on. So biomass being a renewable source has become so much, has gained so much importance when we are trying to do away with the conventional source of energy, and we are bringing all kinds of renewable source of energy. If we bring that, or if we connect that with the thermal power sector, I must tell you that I am working in NTPC, but presently I am looking after the biomass mission, which is under the control of Ministry of Power. So this biomass mission has been set up by Ministry of Power, and this biomass mission has got its members from different organizations. Of course, NTPC has taken the lead role, but we have got members from all other organizations who are connected to Ministry of Power or Ministry of other ministries also. And I must say that we are getting support from different ministries like Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Heavy Industries, who are associated in some way or other with this biomass mission. When this biomass mission was set up, the purpose was mainly twofold. One was the reducing the stubble burning, which is a menace for not only the NCR states, but all the states of the country. And number two, reducing carbon footprint from the thermal power generation. We all know that in our country, our electricity generation is heavily dependent on coal. More than 70% of electricity generated is through coal only. So to keep the energy sustainability, whatever we say, how far, whatever effort we do for bringing renewable energy, we are still dependent on coal. And it cannot be, we cannot take such step that this coal plants we cannot shut in some 5, 10 or 20 years. That's why we have set our target of net zero at 2070. And this biomass firing, which we have found, that this biomass firing in coal-fired thermal power plants is an excellent way of reducing carbon footprint without almost any additional investment. It is due to the reason that the existing setup of thermal power plants can co-fire biomass at least up to 10%, which has already been tested, and different research programs are going on to find how it can be, the co-firing percentage can be increased. Till now, we are restricted to non-torrefied biomass fuels, non-torrefied pellets, which we call. So this non-torrefied pellet co-firing percentage is restricted to 10%. If it is torrefied biomass pellets, we can, through our experiment, we can find that the co-firing percentage can be increased maybe to 15 or 20% at least. Now, if we see the advantage of biomass co-firing in the thermal power plants, I think here the biomass forum, Biomass Associates Forum, which has been set up, this associate forum is going to cater to all the industries which is using biomass. I believe this Ministry of Petroleum, who have brought this production of CBG and ethanol through biomass, which is already in practice. This biomass co-firing in thermal power plant, it has taken off slightly late, but today it is established, and you may be happy to hear that today 44 power stations in the country has already started biomass co-firing in their thermal power plants of different capacity and in different percentage. I would like to give you some of the numbers that this today total quantum of biomass which has been co-fired in the thermal power plants is in the level of 1,25,000 metric ton. Last year, it is the cumulative since inception. Last year, we have co-fired approximately 50,000 metric ton of biomass pellet in the thermal power plants. We have taken some input from the other industries and also the manufacturing capacity of different pellet and briquette manufacturing plants. From that, it has been gathered that at least 95% of the produced, 95% of the pellets and briquettes which have been produced from these pellet manufacturing plants are diverted to other competing industries. So the quantum which is being fired in thermal power plants is merely 5% of the total quantum of biomass pellet which is produced. So if it is 50,000, so you can very well count the number, the biomass pellet which is being produced and the biomass which is being used, raw biomass which is being used. And the effect of that which we can find that the stubble burning has reduced. The last financial year, the stubble burning has reduced by approximately 30% as per the figure given by Ministry of Environment over the previous financial year or the period from April to December. Now, considering this, some of the other numbers which we have been discussing, and my previous speaker has, Mr. Ramakrishna has mentioned, that as per the existing estimate, it is 180 million ton of biomass is surplus in our country. We are also going by another figure which we often refer to, that is 230 million ton per annum. This is by another study which has been done by MNRE. So these figures are very close. But I believe that we don't need to bother about these figures so much, because the present usage of, at least at this stage, because the present usage of biomass is much, much lower than the quantity which we have got as surplus. If we see the 5% co-firing as per the biomass policy, I believe you all are aware about the biomass co-firing policy which has been brought out by Ministry of Power, which has indicated that 5 to 7% of co-firing is to be done in the thermal power plants. So for 5% co-firing, we have calculated that approximately 35 million metric ton per annum of biomass pellet will be used, and if we take the 25% loss factor from the raw biomass, the total quantum of raw biomass which will be consumed is around 50 million metric ton. So it is well within the figure of whether it is 180 million metric ton or 230 million metric ton. So there the quantum is there, the requirement is the usage part of it, and I will come to that. Regarding the carbon footprint reduction from the thermal power plants, even with this 5% of the total production of biomass pellet or briquette which has been given to thermal power plants, we have been able to reduce 1.5 lakh metric ton of carbon dioxide from the carbon dioxide generation from the thermal power plants. This is unique because of the reason that in the existing conventional power plant setup, we are able to generate renewable energy and reduce carbon dioxide emission from the same setup. I believe that this cannot happen to any other industry or any other renewable power generation, where you have to set up a new infrastructure for production of that renewable power. You all know that as per the commitment of our Honorable Prime Minister in the COP26 Glasgow Summit, where we have been given the nationally determined contribution of producing 500 gigawatt of renewable power by 2030, and also 50% of our total power generation from the renewable sources. I believe that apart from the all existing renewable power generation like solar, wind, hydro, we also consider nuclear now. So with all these things, this biomass co-firing can be an excellent way of improving our renewable power capacity from the existing setup. we have been discussing about the intent of thermal power stations of using this biomass in their thermal power plants. When this biomass mission was set up, initially in July 2021, till that time, only 7 power stations in the country had started co-firing, and a total quantum of approximately 25,000 metric ton of biomass was co-fired till that time. In last 1.5 years of time, the total number of power plant which have started this, it is 44, as I have already mentioned. And the total quantum which has been ordered is 47 lakh metric ton. But this is apart from the figure of 1100 lakh metric ton of biomass pellet tender which has been issued by all the thermal power plants, approximately 50 numbers of thermal power plants in the country. So we have got around 200 thermal power plants. Out of that, 52 thermal power plants have already taken their steps. Others are coming forward. Initially, there was some apprehension by thermal power plants that whether this kind of biomass co-firing is going to harm their plant, is going to cause any problem in the form of slagging or other things. Those kind of apprehension were coming, but I believe that with direct interaction with them, with consultation through OEM, with different kind of technical input, they are now sure that this biomass co-firing is very, very safe for their plant, and that's why they are coming forward through issue of their tenders and purchasing biomass. But the issue is, the problem is today about the supply of biomass to the thermal power plants, and it is because of the lack of development of ecosystem. After the start of this some biomass mission, which we also call SAMARTH mission, which is the acronym of this biomass mission, which basically depicts the objective of our mission, we have interacted with all kind of stakeholders. One is, of course, this GENCOs, another stakeholder is farmers, and the third stakeholder is, of course, the entrepreneurs who are going to set up the pellet manufacturing plants. And through this interaction, we have gathered that they have got different kind of requirement. So in line with the requirement of the new entrepreneurs who are going to set up these pellet manufacturing plants, we have done some of the, we have taken some of the actions which has given fruitful result. One is, of course, by declaration of this biomass pellet manufacturing as priority sector, and they are going to issue priority sector lending for this biomass pellet manufacturing plants, and RBI has already issued the order of it. Initially, there was no provision for biomass procurement through GEM. That has also been incorporated. Now it is the time by the manufacturers to enroll them in GEM, through which the government sectors, at least, they can purchase the biomass pellets. The financial grant scheme which has been issued, which has been brought out by CPCB and also by MNRE, you may be knowing about this. These are the grant scheme, apart from the loan. This grant scheme has also been structured, or the shape has been given by Biomass Mission, and accordingly the order has come. So the new entrepreneurs, they can come forward and set up their plants through these grant schemes. The exclusive loan scheme from the bank has already been issued. State Bank has come forward with an exclusive scheme. Other banks has also given some of the, or brought out some of the schemes through which these new entrepreneurs can take their loan and bring their industries. Single window clearance for the plant setup, provision for that has also been made, and it is going to come very soon. So these are some of the steps which have already been taken care. There was, I think, in the presentation, one point has come up. It is regarding the common standard for biomass testing. You have brought out that point. We have taken this with BIS, Bureau of Indian Standard, and the new IS standard for biomass testing is coming out of 19 standards, 12 standards had already been issued, and balance 7 standards will be issued very soon. So there will be no discrepancy about this testing of biomass as well. And regarding the research projects, we need, because this is a nascent area, so we need different kind of research. It is about the quality deterioration of biomass while storage, whether the harmful elements of biomass like chlorine, alkali can be leached out from biomass, and other related research projects have already been taken up by some of the organizations and academic institutions. NTPC, PAU, NIBE have already taken up. Through Department of Science and Technology, some projects have already are going to be allocated. In fact, they have given offer for, I believe, 8 number of research projects, and you must be happy to listen that more than 100 number of research offer for research projects have come to DST. Out of them, they are selecting the most relevant 8 number of projects. So all these activities are there, are already in progress. And regarding the capacity building program of especially the power stations, the pellet manufacturers, and also the farmers, the SAMARTH mission has already taken up this kind of awareness programs across the country. 17 number of states have already been covered. I believe till date 44 numbers of such kind of awareness programs have been conducted. So these awareness programs has given fruitful result. And we have been discussing the other day with some of the manufacturers. They are telling that because of these awareness programs, what has happened, that farmers have become very, very aware now, and they have become very much conscious about their product, and they have understood the income generation opportunity from this kind of product. That's why the cost of raw biomass is increasing. That kind of input is coming from the pellet manufacturers. Some of the pellet manufacturers are present here. Also, they can give their observation on this. So today, the area which we are lacking is only the supply of biomass, the ecosystem development from the field to the pellet manufacturers, so that the collection, aggregation, storage and transportation of this raw biomass takes place at least up to the plant where it will be converted to fuel. And for this, I believe the most effective way will be the engagement of farmers and FPOs themselves. I would request the IFGE Biomass Associate Forum, they can also look into this, or look into this area, how they can engage the FPOs, because they are the owners of the field. And when they understand that they have got the income generation opportunity, and if they can take up with their association, with cooperatives, this kind of collection, aggregation activities, and also storage activities, so their opportunity of their income generation will also grow, and because of their ownership, I believe that this kind of activity will grow manifold. So we can think on this, so that, and once this kind of model is set up in our country, I believe that with the huge quantum of biomass availability in the country, all the sectors, all the industries where we are going to use biomass, be it in the usage, co-firing it in the power plant or the CBG or the ethanol, the biomass availability will not be an issue. I think these are some of the points which I thought that I would touch upon. There was one more issue which has come up in the presentation. It is about the support regarding the regulatory, financial aspects, interministerial support, and manufacturing sector support for the manufacturing sector. I would like to mention that for the regulatory support, the issue of non-allowing biomass co-firing cost in the tariff was not happening by some of these state ERCs, although it has already been covered in the CRC order. So for this, Ministry of Power has already taken step, and the clear-cut communication has been issued to, number of clear-cut communications has already been issued to all the SERCs, so that they can allow this cost of biomass co-firing in the tariff. And it is happening in many of the states, in many of the states after the issue of this kind of communication. So this part has already been taken care. Regarding the financial part, I have already told that this financial grant scheme has already been taken care of. The loan scheme has already been taken care of. For the manufacturing sector, I have already mentioned that the number of provisions which we have brought or are going to bring for the manufacturing sector also, so that we can create enabling condition for those small entrepreneurs and new entrepreneurs. And about the inter-ministerial support, there was one issue of separate GST code of biomass. That point has also been taken up from the Ministry of Power. Communication has also been issued to Ministry of Finance, so that some action can be taken in this area also, and I believe it will also materialize. Although this has already not been taken up by Minister of Finance, but I believe that this will happen someday. So these areas which we have gathered, whatever has been discussed today, we have gathered earlier from all the stakeholders through your communication and through your observation only, and we have taken, to the extent possible, we have taken care all of them. So at the end, that I am really thrilled to see the enthusiasm of the gathering here, the enthusiasm and the participation and the vast knowledge of the speakers here. And I am a strong believer that this biomass area, it's a new one, and any new field takes some time to get established, but with our wholehearted effort, this biomass area is going to establish in a big way. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir, making us aware about SAMARTH initiatives on biomass related initiatives related to the NTPC and co-firing in thermal power plants. Now I would like to announce some formalities of the program. I would like to request Shri Sudip Nagji to formally announce that IFGE's Biomass Associate Forum has been launched.
Do I need to announce it again? It has already been launched.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And
thank you very much, sir. Next formality definitely is to honor our guest, today's chief guest. So I would like to invite Amit Bansalji to give a Anand Bansalji to give a memento, a token of appreciation from Biomass Associate Forum IFGE to our chief guest, Shri Sudip Nagji. So with the memento of Sri Ganesh, we are doing Sri Ganesha of our Biomass Associate Forum. And of course, I assure that IFGE's Biomass Associate Forum will take up all the points suggested by you to do capacity building and training or such activities related to the FPOs and biomass processors in the country. Definitely we would like to associate with SAMARTH on this point. Now I would like to invite for concluding remarks by our Biomass Associate Forum's co-chair, Colonel Rohit Dev.
Thank you. Respected dignitaries on the dais, Shri Sanjay Ganjoo ji heading the IFGE, a lot of familiar friends and a lot of would-be friends probably. Never in the history of my speaking anywhere on dais, whether in the military or otherwise, has the concluding remark gotten about 25 minutes left to go in the program. So So while I can justify this 25 minutes, but I will keep it short, and then we will probably have a twist of some suggestions from the forum as well, which we had not catered to earlier, so that we can draw home some points. So हिंदी में अगर बोलूँ शुरू के कुछ पंक्ति, तो उसमें कल इतना ही बोलना चाहूँगा कि सामूहिकता, समझते हैं सामूहिकता, कलेक्टिवनेस में एकता है, और उसी एकता में एक विशेषता है. सो इस पूरे बायोमास एसोसिएट्स फोरम का सारांश जो मूल तरीके से वो ये है कि किस तरह से फार्मर, इंटरमीडिएटरीज से लेके कंज्यूमर तक जो पूरी जो सप्लाई चेन है, जो पूरे व्याख्या है जो बायोमास के अंतर्गत, वो किस तरह से हम उसको निर्धारित और सुनियोजित तरीके से करके आगे बढ़ सकें. और मैं इतना बोलना चाहूँगा कि इसमें बहुत सारे लोगों का पार्टिसिपेशन जरूरी है. I will now transfer myself to a little bit of English so that people understand a little more clearly, and we can keep the Hindi for the interaction later. आज से कुछ साल पहले जब भाई रामकृष्ण साहब बायोमास की बात करते थे और काफ़ी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स उस क्षेत्र में आए 2012-13 में, तो इंडस्ट्री को बताना पड़ता था ये बायोमास है, आप ले लीजिए. और आज कुछ ऐसा पहल है कि इंडस्ट्री खोज रही है खेत खलिहान में कि बायोमास किधर मिलेगा. So that is a transition which India has seen in the last one decade, in which availability of biomass is a given. Industries around biomass which are set up or will be set up is a given. It's not about putting the biomass as a replacement to the fossil fuel in the boiler. It doesn't end there. It doesn't end with the CBG. It doesn't end with ethanol. It will surely not end with the sustainable aviation fuel, which India will be forced to sign in the next couple of years as per CORSIA norms to make fuel here itself. Certainly the jackets and the shoes which we are wearing today, or crockery and cutlery which we use, or the particle board which we use to make interiors, or we use even panels for affordable housing, or any other material you see today, even in the MNCs of clothing world I have seen, are using biomass for various things. So the price point of biomass, which everybody is worried about, so is Tusharji because he's leading an industry, and so are many other people. This valuation of biomass is going to change unless the 3 points which I want to just iterate before I tell you what our forum is about. The first part is that we are embarking on a journey of an energy transition into 2070. That's our stated commitment to the world, that we'll go net zero. To achieve a net zero, you need an energy transition. Everything cannot be based on biomass, everything cannot be solar, everything cannot be hydel, everything cannot be even nuclear. So there is a time and a technology when it is appropriate, when that will come about. And the biggest factor for all kinds of renewable energy is the sustainable part. I'll give you a small ballpark. We mentioned today 230 million metric tons, right? I will not go to the 180 part, say 230. And say an average boiler in the industry will consume about 20,000 tons of biomass annually. Just divide that figure by this amount of biomass, you will find you will be only able to service about 1 lakh, 1.25 lakh, factories today and in the future. And I already believe if you take the data from the Ministry of Industry, there are many more already. So if you see, India has to plan the energy transition in a manner that right from nuclear till the hydel and in between biomass and everybody else has got a committed role play in the next 50 years of development, commitment, and getting it instituted. So that's the challenge. Coming to this, there can be a long session on this. We will have it probably next time, how we see this transition happening, what is good for our country. But coming back to what we are planning to do in this forum. So the primary part of this forum is starting with the biomass, and biomass always starts with the farmer. So the maximum participation in this forum as we go ahead is going to be from the farmers, because the farmers are going to give you the initial biomass for whichever application you are visualizing today or for tomorrow. And then it comes to various processing industries and the manufacturers. So today we have here, people who manufacture briquetting and plating plants. There are people who utilize it. And there are also people who are looking at other technologies of manufacturing various things in every domain where biomass is going to be used. The third is we are looking at people who are dealing with logistics, both transportation, storage, and warehousing. These are the people who must connect in this forum. We're also looking at financial domain. So we are looking at very good enabling government schemes. We are looking at foreign direct investment investors. We are looking at various global financiers to also join, which can be as a cumulative project-based financing, or it could be a more holistic sector-based financing, which can be taken up. We're also looking at aspects of energy efficiency, carbon credits. There's one more parameter I want to add. Today, the soil health, and this government has been talking about soil health for a little while now, is also a domain which deals directly with the biomass itself. So whether you're going to produce something like a yield, which was mentioned 3 times growth of the bamboo itself, or you're looking at any other energy plantation, can be taken up. We are looking at EPC partners, technology players, and also the research and development component globally to join this chorus, because it's very important to see the evolving technologies for applications. So whether it is shrinking the machine size to fit the biomass aggregation part, or it's to do a production factory of a SAF tomorrow. So this entire spectrum requires a lot of R&D effort, and if you have seen the government's financial outlay as well, so there is a good amount of money for R&D in the biofuel segment which has been given this time. Skill development institutes, colleges, universities, global institutes are the other segment which can join this forum. We are also looking at plantation drives to be carried out in the theme of the wasted land or otherwise of whatever the land can be made available. In that, we are seeking also partners in this domain who operate in energy plantation. They have worked with NHI before or otherwise to join the forum. We are finally looking at the off-takers and consumers of biomass or biomass-based applications to join this. 3 things which you can look at from this forum very vividly is, one is how to get the policy enunciation both at the central level and the state government level. That is why the organization is structured in a way that we'll be able to carry the voices and the requirement of the industry forward. And let me make a little delineation there. The forum is not to take ahead an individual issue of a particular firm, factory or an industry. It's a holistic requirement. So we will try to stitch all the dots of the interministerial coordination which are required and get the right policy initiation through. The second part which we are looking to do is instill a lot of awareness campaigns and sort of project-based or area-based biomass assessment studies. So we know who the players are today who are doing it, and we have got a refined method of doing the same thing in consultation with the farmers. So we'll see how that one also goes. Just to highlight the future trends, and I'm making this with all responsibility, the future of projects in India based on biomass will be more inclined for the project to own the supply chain management of the biomass itself. I mean, if you understand what I'm saying, it is not going to be delineated in this typical food structure where there was a farmer and there was a consumer and the retail part is separate, but you had a whole lot of middlemen who were there in this entire segment. The farmer got what he got always. The middlemen and the retailers made more money, and obviously you paid the price. So if you put the same connotation into the waste management of biomass, it is not going to succeed, because your projects are based on a particular value or a price point of the biomass. So the more intermediaries who come in between and more supply chain companies you see with gross margins 25%, EBITDA going and crossing some levels, it's not going to succeed. So it's going to be more of a rural connect and a case study of a zero profit model to be created between the farmer and the factory. And then you see who's to be given what kind of a profitability at each stage, so that the industries where your investments are going upwards of 600 crores, 1200 crores or more today are able to get a sustainable supply chain at a desired price point. The farmer body, which we intend to create in clusters through this forum as well, and that is on the lines of FPO, we have not given it a name, we can call it a farmer waste organization, is something we are looking at, and we've been talking about this for a long time. In fact, individually and collectively, we have submitted papers to even the PMO on this and the Niti Aayog. Let's see how this participation comes about. So we are seeing a transition in this particular segment from a triple P model, which is private-public partnership model, to a 4P model, in which the 4th P is the people, which is traditionally the farmer himself. The last part is that this, and like I agree with Tushar when he says that this is not a challenge, this is a huge opportunity, because the times of going with the biomass and seeking a customer are over. The customer wants the biomass. So a huge entrepreneurial dream comes about in this segment. So we are not looking at large scale people. A project should look at 4 entrepreneurs and pick them up and make them grow so that they become sustainable for the future. And that's the trend which is going to set in this country. And that is why there is a huge scope for entrepreneurs to come in. So we will be able to give a whole lot of consultation from our forum, individually or collectively where we are in terms of state organizations and central organizations in Delhi, to the people who are concerned. The last part, which I want to say with all my heart, is the caveat of ownership of this particular pipeline. Many times, a lot of entrepreneurs we have seen in the IT circuit, they've gone and created a small application, something to do, and the first time they became a unicorn or half unicorn, they went to a foreign company and sold their company and then they carried on, right? I would just put a caution for all of us to consider, and even the farmers and bureaucrat and manufacturers here. Do not let your ownership pass away in this domain, because not only this biomass industry is going to create your energy security for the coming century and beyond, it is also going to be having an effect on the primary production of the grains in your country or energy production which you're trying to do. So try and keep it as indigenous as possible. I appreciate you have to raise funds, and like the Minister of Surface Communication, Mr. Gadkari, has been talking about green bonds, how you create money yourselves, for yourselves. So I think that's the way forward. So without much ado, I will conclude and thank each one of you, and especially the ones who, generally after lunch you don't have any lunches, but we have done that today, so it's quite a miracle. And for that, kudos to each one of you for being here with us. And do take the message forward to your localities, your clusters, your states, your regions. And while we formulate in the next 10-15 days with our team here and with the blessings of Mr. Ganjoo, a sort of a roadmap for this organization, we will come back to you in terms of interaction on various social media platforms and also emails, and try and reconnect with you. And give us about 2 or 3 months' time when we'll come with a formalized plan with all interministerial deliberations also done. We'll present a white paper to the concerned ministries through the IFGE, and let's see how it goes. So thank you for your time and thank you for coming here. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful concluding remark. Now, I would like to thank everyone. And of course, our chief guest, Shri Sudip Nagji from SAMARTH mission, and our IFGE chairman, Dr. Sahab Patil, and Shri Y.B. Ramakrishna ji for coming after lunch to our launch session and joining us for launching of this event. I would like to thank you very much to Dr. Tushar Rohit Dev ji and our forum chairman, Shri Subodh Kumar ji, and of course our coordinator and one of the biomass processor, Aman Kwatra ji, and of course all of you, those who have joined our IFGE's Biomass Associate Forum. And I'm very much thankful to all our IFGE staff, and of course our Honorable Guru, Shri Sanjay Ganjoo ji, for guiding us for launching of this event. And now I will request all of you to have your questions and answers during tea session. Thank you very much. Have your tea and have your questions with all our dignitaries. They will be available for tea. Thank you very much. Okay. One group picture.